Hi guys, this is Dr. Kathy Campbell with Medicap Pharmacy, and I'm here to talk to you today about high blood pressure. Many of you may have seen in the press that there's been a recent change in what constitutes high blood pressure and when we start to treat it. And I'm going to talk a little bit, actually in this series of videos, to help you really evaluate for yourself the blood pressure you're dealing with and if it's something to actually be concerned about. So we're going to talk a little bit about blood pressure. Now, what you have to understand is with every heartbeat, there is a fluctuation in blood pressure. And your blood pressure in the morning is very often different than in the evening. That has to do with circadian rhythms and just really what's going on with your day. When we look at blood pressure, we get these numbers. There's a systolic number, which is your top blood pressure. The bottom number is the diastolic. Those are pretty fancy terms, but how I explain it is the top number is when your heart is fully contracted and fully pushing the blood through your body. The bottom number is when it's fully relaxed. So pressure is a lot like the pressure in your car. These are millimeters of mercury, so how much pressure within our system. We know for humans there's a fairly narrow optimal for blood pressure. When it's elevated or when it's low, there are symptoms associated. The issue with an elevated blood pressure is just like if you have an elevation in any pressure. It puts pressure and force on the actual blood vessels. And while that may initially or for short term not be a big issue, what it tends to do is cause damage to the blood vessels. So that's what we're concerned about. The experts have determined that we used to say 140/90 was the point with which we start being aggressive at managing blood pressure. That has now changed to 130/80. Now, what I'm going to talk about in this series is how do you check it? How do you determine what your normal average blood pressure is? How do we determine if there's drivers in your life that are having it be elevated? And what can you do in addition or other than medications to make sure that your blood pressure is optimal? We know if we can keep a nice, moderate, optimal blood pressure, that cardiovascular disease, cerebral vascular disease can be mitigated or kept from even happening. So we're going to talk a lot about blood pressure. I hope that helps you. 130/80 is the new recommendation.